Okay, today I'm just going to show you the vintage Graflex I've just finished with an install. This is my first vintage one. I've done plenty of replica Graflexes, but the vintage one was a bit of a, well, not so much a challenge, just being very careful with it because I bought the hilt off eBay, the actual flash gun, and wanted to make sure I didn't damage it any more than it already was after, I guess, 60 years. And you can see on the build, I've machined down the glass eye to keep it screen accurate. Not so screen accurate would be the short pins here. I've got to age these a little bit to match the rest of the hilt, but these are the short pins so I can remove the chassis system. And I haven't done I've just left this back part free of the extra add-ons here because I want to keep this as an original Graflex, but I have got another piece that goes on, which is a replica piece that then brings it up to a full screen accurate Saber. But this build was a bit of a challenge because I got the Beyer full metal chassis system inside, all printed in brass, and some other parts for the crystal chamber in different materials. But inside that I didn't go with the Deluxe Labs board this time. I went with the TeensySaber. That's because I like the Neopixel look and all the programming you can do on it, and it came up great. A few modifications needed to get it all to fit, but it does look, it does fit, and it does look great when it's all fired up and working. Blade plug in here, solo hold, blade holder. A few modifications. Got a really fine mesh sitting in here behind the glass eye, and that's a glow through. Blade holder effectively is a Neopixel. It just drops out fairly easily. So yeah, Neopixel blade plug. I don't know, there's 7 pixels plus 3 at the front, so 10 all up. The custom Saber Shop connector solution for Neopixel with the solos hold supplied parts that allow you to put the original brass pin inside the plug. That works great. I'll show you that in a minute. Obviously the chassis system, removing the glass eye. So this is the blade retention. It's got the little piece that's added in there. The mesh is just sandwiched between that. Inside here, the matching pins, obviously the custom Saber Shop solution, the little pogo pins that sit down in there that mate with the other connector, the blade connector. Sloth furnace clamp card. So that's all original Graflex, and as I say, very good condition. A few scuffs on it, but other than that, it's perfect. Showing the chassis, just carefully. No, that's going to all come out now. Get that out. It's fairly easy to come out. There's the Beyer full metal chassis solution, and it just, I've got to say, it just comes up absolutely superb. Seeing this on the video, it looks good, but in real life this thing is fairly heavy, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. I did polish this up, but then decided to give it a weathered look because of the age of the Graflex. And if you polish it, obviously any scratches show up, but this time with the weathering, any little minor scratches I get, I don't mind. Just adds to the personality of the Saber. You can see up here the plasma gate that he calls it. I've printed some parts there in rhodium. I haven't put the mesh. I was going to put a mesh inside the tube here. Haven't done that yet. Just got some cellophane in there to give it a nice effect. And the Neopixels run from here, one here, and then another one pointing into the crystal. Another one here pointing back into the crystal that way, and that gives a really nice illumination of the crystal chamber. And obviously when you turn it on, the Neopixels will gradually light up. Nice effect. Behind the Accent LEDs is just 3 Neopixels mounted in the centre, and that fits perfectly. That's just stuck down on top of the TeensySaber board, so you can actually take this cover off completely. There's nothing, no wires holding it. On the charge port and switch as per Beyer's design. The cables were beefed up a little bit in here to allow for the higher current with the Neopixels. The battery protection's in there, That's a 10 amp battery protection, so that'll cut out if I go over that. Batteries have had the heat shrink removed, and so that's just the raw battery there. Didn't use the connectors that Beyer has, the spring connectors for easy replacement. These are soldered in and then sealed up at the end, so there's no chance of shorting out. And what I did do is actually grounded the whole chassis and then ensured all the any positive leads or signal leads are all insulated. And there's a reason for that, because I wanted a nice ground plane. Because inside this one, sitting in here between the plasma gate and the blade holder, is a Bluetooth module, and that fits just as a tight squeeze, but it does get in without any modification. And then as you're screwing this on, it clamps down and holds the Bluetooth in place. The range is not so good. Once in here it's fine, but once you put it inside the hilt, it's you lose quite a bit of range. But that's just to turn the Saber on, off, and control the various features. It's quite handy having the Bluetooth. Auxiliary switch, main switch, as per other builds you would have seen, and then extra detail in the chamber. You can see a real blue Aurora quartz crystal inside. This is the 4 ohm speaker for the which works great with the TeensySaber. It's quite loud. This one's from the Saber Armory, KRSabers. And just turning it on.
That lightsaber was Luke's and his father's before him, and now it calls to you.
Ultra bright red LED. This is wired up as a normal LED into into a little MOSFET on the back of the TeensySaber board with a pulsing blade, and that'll pulse slow when it's off and speeds up when it turns on. This is the colour cycle effect that the TeensySaber has. This is another blade, or basically treated as another blade. Then you've got the crystal chamber and the plasma gate, which is then treated as another blade. So if you look at the way you configure a TeensySaber, this one's got sort of 1, 2, 3, and then the main blade, four blades all up. Powering it up, you've got the colour cycle here. That'll change direction, pulse faster. Crystal chamber lights up with the 2 LEDs and the plasma gate. And it's extremely bright, it looks absolutely fantastic. And obviously that's all works as per it should. And then pulsing fast on the red LED, turn it off. You can see how they gradually come down and turn off, and then I've just got a slow pulse on a single LED in here, Neopixel, that slow pulses. Then when you turn it on, that changes to match the blade, and the 2 LEDs come on and match the blade. Changing sound fonts.
Graflex TFA HD.
A few features there. Effects. So quite a nice design to save me leaning over and playing with the switches to see all the effects. And what I've done is written an app. This is modified Nordic app. I won't take all the credit. From Nordic Semiconductors for the Bluetooth, and I modified it, added extra buttons and icons and things. This app is not available online. This is just my work in progress. I may put it up eventually with some code that goes with the TeensySaber. Effectively on the app I've got battery, volume, and we've got Saber on, off. If I had an LCD or the OLED, I can put messages up, play the music, clash, blast, lock up, moving fonts, force sound, the off button, volume changing. This button automatically sends every, you can program this time, every 25 seconds or whatever time you want. You can program it. It sends a command, you can customize the command that it sends. That just gives the Saber a bit of life if it's just sitting there on display. This one will just announce the battery voltage. That's a stop button, stop everything, and that's a reset, so you can reset the TeensySaber. It does a runtime log, which is quite useful for doing battery, so you can actually plug it all in, turn it on, and you've got a runtime here. When it goes flat, disconnects, and that will tell you how long it runs for. And there's the password lock, so it is password protected, so if I hit connect, Should come up on here. There it is, MB Graflex, I've called it. Press that.
BLE connect.
Got an annunciation, BLE connect, and then I can actually turn on the Saber by pressing Saber on, Saber off, and then all the different effects. You can see. Back up. Force sound.
You're afraid that you will never be as strong as Darth Vader.
Play the music. You got various volume.
Adjust level low.
Low volume, it's probably 10%.
Adjust level high.
It's full volume.
Adjust level middle.
So that's 75% volume. Turning it off, you can see the runtime there. So I've been running now, I don't know if you can see that in focus, 39 seconds.
4.06 volts.
It's the battery voltage, as announced. And then you can go through the fonts.
The Graflex Awakens by No Star and Scott Creevy.
Crystal Workshop.
This is the workshop font, I love this one. Like you're working on the Saber.
Crystal unstable or exposed due to power failure. Crystal timing anomaly caused by shock. Analyze and correct problem or avoid impacts during repairs. Crystal core timing subroutine. Timing circuits misaligned due to impact. Auto calibration subroutine. Goodbye.
Smooth swing teeth
And
on
then a number of smooth swing fonts. I've added some font annunciation on it.
Smooth Jedi. Smooth gray.
Quite a few different fonts installed. Probably the maximum number, it's about 98% memory full with all the blade effects.
Vengeance.
Velocity.
One of my favourite fonts.
Skywalker.
Nice having Neopixels. You've got obviously every choice of colour. Program anything you want, which is pretty neat. Obviously blue's the default with the Graflex.
Calibrate. The force unleashed you. Shoot.
There's a white blade. You can see the crystal is blue because it's obviously a blue crystal, even with the white lead. So,
The Dark Order.
a bit of fire blade. Got a really nice pulsing look on the accent LEDs. Turning it on. The flicker, and obviously blade plug. Blade plug in, give you an idea of how it would look with the blade. This is the Bluetooth. Yeah, so quite a nice design. As I say, Martin did a fantastic job. Took him a long time to design, but it all goes together extremely well. Obviously a little bit of filing, etc. needed, but fits absolutely perfectly. So inside here I've got rhodium as the Deluxe plasma gate, rhodium printed for the holders of the tube. This is just printed in raw brass. Raw brass, these are the fins that come off of Martin's website, and then all the pipes made up. And then the weathered look, that's all brass black, no paint, so sort of give it a more natural sort of weathered look. Yeah, not much more to say. There's some photos on my website. You can see of the Bluetooth module that's in there and the fitment. I'm putting it all back together. Obviously line that up at the top. It slides in fairly easily. There it goes. It's in. And then we put the retention screw. Back in, and obviously that locks the chassis as well. So putting that on display, I mean, it looks, I've got to say, very, very nice. And obviously with the Bluetooth control, full hands-free operation. It's the battery monitor. Obviously, given that these are acting as a blade, these LEDs, green, it's basically showing that it's fully charged or over 4 volts. Obviously that'll change colour as the voltage comes down. You can get the voltage to prove that it's over 4.
4.06 volts.
There you go, announcing the voltage.
The Force Awakens.
And we're back to the first font.
Graflex.
So quite a few fonts installed on the Saber, and then adding the blade. It's fairly simple. Obviously the blade plugs out. Blade here, this is a Vader's Volt blade, then modified. So it's got the foam core, Neopixels inside, the narrow ones, the narrow Neopixels, 2 strips of those. And then the foam, and then the cellophane put back around, which comes in the Vader's Volt blades, tightly wrapped around the foam to give it that nice mirrored look, which I like on the Vader's Volt blades. Same connector on the back. What I've done with this one is this, I've taken it down a little bit here to make it fit a little bit easier, but it's still a nice snug fit going inside the Saber. Pressing it in, and then we can test the blade. Yep, all working well. We lock that down. And what I might do is just move that back, try and keep that in frame. Best I can, like that. And then this is the nice thing with Bluetooth, I don't have to touch the Saber. I might just turn that one over so you can see the glass eye, the crystals, etc. So this is just the standard Graflex font. Nice blue blade. Different effects on the lock up and sounds, etc.
Graflex TFA HD.
So clash sound, blaster, lock up.
The Graflex Awakens by No Star.
This is a cyan blade, probably more screen accurate.
Crystal Workshop.
This is my, not my font, the Crystal Workshop font. My favourite for just showing off the Saber if it was just sitting there stationary with the chassis open.
Welcome.
I've got a really slow start up on this.
Chassis disengaged. Crystal core exposed. Repair and maintenance mode operational. Core stability at 93.138%. Ready.
And on this one, because I'm running it off the Bluetooth,
Monitoring energy flux.
I've got a timer on here. There
Timing
it goes.
circuits misaligned.
So the timer counted down and then it just
Recalibrate.
did a blast.
Repair failed. Failure. Repair. Crystal core timing subroutine. Crystal timing anomaly caused. Auto calibration subroutine. Commencing tests. Adjusting parameters. Crystal timing anomaly caused.
There we go. It's a very, very slow. Whoops. Start up and shut down. And then, yeah, pretty much it. You can look at the different blades.
Smooth grey.
Red fire blade. Colour cycle blade. Difference between that one and I think Ethan's is I've changed the code slightly, so I've got it retracting as it turns off. So moving outward, moving inward. These are all different colour cycle blades. You see that one's a white on startup and then goes green.
Vengeance.
Nice orange blade.
Velocity.
Magenta.
Skywalker.
Green. With the white spark.
Revolt.
Blue fire blade. Calibrate font. White fire blade. White blade.
The dark.
No, red fire blade. Back to the battery monitor. So I've used a bit of battery. Obviously glowing blue at the end. Battery's probably dropped below 4 volts.
3.95 volts.
There we go. Turn it off.
The Force Awakens. Graflex.
And then we're back to the beginning. So that's the design, guys. This is taking a little while. It's probably about a week's work all up, putting all this together. But I've got to say, it is my now all-time favourite saber. Probably will sit alongside my the Force Unleashed 2 from Solo's Hold saber that I did probably 2 years ago. But yeah, this one's a real nice design. Full metal. There's not one. Well, there's probably only one nylon piece besides the inserts and battery things inside. The only nylon piece is really the speaker holder at the back. The rest is all metal. So yeah, really nice design. That's the blade plug. Blow through. And the side switch for the mix.
Graflex.
The Graflex awakens.
But overall, very, very happy with the design and how it all came out. TeensySaber squeezed in two 950 milliamp hour cells in parallel, giving me a run time of about 20-25 minutes. If I've got a single colour, probably get a little bit longer, but really for me this is a static display piece that's going to sit there with the two stands, the Graflex at the top and then the chassis core at the bottom. And I've got to say it'll run probably well over 12 hours if there's no blade plugged in. It's just running with the crystal chamber LEDs on. It draws about 150 milliamps, so yeah, not much at all. So guys, hope you liked it. Sorry, not for sale. This is in my collection, and I am looking at building probably one more for the collection, which will be a stainless steel version rather than the brass. And I'll see how that comes out. That's going to be a little bit more work because the brass prints more accurately. Cheers. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.